Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me is our resident gaming journalist Eli.
I'm here.
And our
I'm
retro...
doing well.
That's great. And our retro aficionado Unoclay.
When you get back to whatever steaming underworld shithole you came from, you tell them there are still Belmonts up here.
Hey guys.
Nice.
I beat Castlevania 1 for the first time in my life after 30 years this week, so I've Belmonts around the way. Yeah. What's going on?
Not much. So I think this week we'll just jump into the news because there's not a whole lot, and then just get to what we've been playing and whatever after. So the first bit is apparently Luigi's Mansion 3 is getting paid DLC for the multiplayer modes. One of them is a new mode where you have like everyone is fighting on their own to capture as many ghosts, and then the other one is the Scarescraper like tower mode where it's one team versus the other team, and I forget, trying to find the exit or whatever it was. It was in the 3DS game anyway. It was pretty fun. Just more DLC as usual. It seems like the president last year stated that they're gonna do more DLC for current games, so there we go. Seems pretty self-explanatory.
It's just like surprising because this seems like such a like for multiplayer, and we already know it before launch of the game, like this far out. Seems a little bit weird. It's one thing when they're putting out Fire Emblem DLC and it's like extra maps and you've got 4 freaking campaigns in your game.
Yeah.
And it's another when it's like actual multiplayer modes, which I feel like should be part of your game. It's like the whole conversation we used to have about DLC when it was first, a thing and unpopular, and we all hated it, and we're like, "What the hell?" This is like Nintendo coming to the table late, along with their phone games, which I don't know if we'll talk about Mario Kart, but it's just like frustrating because you'd expect better.
Yeah. I don't know. You raise a good point because like it's one thing to do single player. I don't know. I don't even know what to say yet. I haven't even had enough time to process. But you're like, right, because it's like the game isn't out yet, and the content that they're probably adding, I doubt is all that extensive. It's probably like, it specifically says new content to these existing modes. So it's not like, oh, you made a whole new mode and that takes more effort. It's probably just like you added a new level. It's like, okay, you probably already made that beforehand, unless you're making it like come out way later. I don't know. That is weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and if you look at wow, I just totally lost. Oh, Splatoon, like that game had free DLC, and I'm not saying all DLC should be free, but it's like impressive they did that for so long. They had support for a year, and that was before Nintendo even had its like cost or premium plan for online. Mm-hmm. But I could get behind, like, let's say they released Splatoon, they had initial few maps that were free, and then after that they released them for like $3 a map. Like, I could get behind that because you already have a full experience there. So I could see a place where multiplayer maps could get charged extra. And I mean, we're seeing a great way done right now with the Smash Brothers. Like, that makes sense. It's a full game. But yeah, in this case, it seems like it's part of what should be in the initial package.
But I haven't been following what's in it exactly, and so hearing it from Matt is like interesting. I mean, I'm with you guys overall on this. I want to take a wait and see like how full the game feels, and then how robust or what costs come with the DLC. Because I don't want to see Nintendo like go down the road of like planning the DLC outside the package in a kind of nefarious way either. I mean, they definitely have had success. They know it. They're having success with like effectively the season pass type mentality or whatever. The buy the package of the characters. Buy more stuff for other games. They're clearly doing it. Like, that ship has sailed. Almost all their major franchises now are getting it in a little bit of a way, or many of the major franchises have gotten it in a little way. At least most of them, Zelda, everything. So they see an opportunity here. it is weird to message it before the game even drops. Like that does make it feel like what you guys are sensing. I'm going to take a wait and see and say like, let's evaluate this in like 3 months after the game's been out, see what we're talking about, and decide then, is Nintendo slipping, or is Nintendo like, or was it like, I mean, because we don't know. This could be just to be a like kind of apologist or whatever for Nintendo. It could be like, hey, we had this game, we got it done, we had new ideas, but we weren't sure if we'd have time for it, kind of DLC. And now we see that the game is ready to ship. We're working on this stuff, and we're excited to announce it that we're working on this stuff, but it is going to be outside the main package of the game, because otherwise we could just ship this game and call it a day and close down the team. So the team stays open, that costs money, therefore the DLC costs money. I don't know. Like I don't know. I know I'm being an apologist a little bit for it. Cost matters a lot here too. So did you answer price now?
No, it doesn't say price, but to concede some ground or whatever, I think in this day and age, if you're going to do DLC, you have to announce it ahead of time, because if you do it like 6 months later, I think most people will have moved on and like not even realize there's DLC in the first place. So it's annoying, and I'm sure some people hate when they do that beforehand, but I think that's the only way, regardless of how far out it is, that you're going to get people to know that it's actually coming. Because once the game's out and you've already played it for whatever and maybe even beaten it, it's like, oh, there's DLC coming. Oh, but it's later. I've already, had this thought in my brain that I finished this, I'm done with it, and I'm going to move on. Whereas if you go in beforehand knowing, oh, there's more coming, then you'll kind of like prepare yourself in that way.
Right.
But, I mean, it all depends on how early it is, because if it's like, I forget which game it was. I think it was Resident Evil, like 3 days later DLC launched, and it's like, yeah, that you clearly just like held that off, and you're being like grubby about it.
Yeah. And even if you didn't, even if it was more what I was saying, like it does look bad. It's a bad look. Yeah. Like even if you developed it later and it wasn't really planned initially, it's a bad look. Like save it or whatever, It's like.
It also, I think price also depends on somewhat, or at least on how much you're willing to tolerate. Not that it makes it any more or less better. Because like Pikmin 3, for example, they had like, I forget what the levels were, but it's like, this thing's $1 or $3. It's like, okay, well, that's pretty cheap for what you're offering. So it's not really, I mean, that came later anyway, but it was the fact that it was so cheap that it was like, it doesn't matter as much.
Like,
so long as the game
it
at least feels complete, and it's not like, well, you definitely chop this out so you could sell 10 different pieces of content. So
I think he's been trying to say something. I hear that. Eli, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying that I agreed with Matt to an extent about announcing early. I don't know. I just feel a little bit uncomfortable with the way they approach it. But also, I was going to say that it's Luigi's Mansion 3, and ultimately, I don't care that much because I'm not a huge fan of Luigi's Mansion.
I don't care. I thought you were going to say you're going to buy it no matter what, like kind of mentality, whatever. So
I thought you were going to say the multiplayer doesn't matter, because it really doesn't.
Nah, I was going to shoot some shots. Who knows? Maybe their multiplayer is going to be like super fun or something.
It's pretty fun, but it's not like you're going to play it for that long, to be honest.
I don't know.
It's more like,
I remember like
cool.
when The Last of Us came out, the original, everyone was like, why does it have multiplayer? Like, clearly this was like just slapped on, and then it turned out a lot of people really liked it and played it for a while. So
speaking of The Last of Us multiplayer, that seems like a perfect time for Mike to chime in.
Yo, what up?
Mike's here. Mike, our pro late gamer. What's up, dude?
Mike, actually, I think you like the multiplayer, right?
I love that multiplayer in Last of Us. Like, the only thing I hated was, like, there was this one trophy that was tied to, like, your online level faction. And, like, you level up and you get more people in your faction. But I messed up on, like, level 49. And then I went down to level 1. And I was like, oh, damn it. But I was like, I don't really mind. Like, it was a fun grind. So, but I mean, that was more of a tedious thing than is like the multiplayer. That thing was fun, man. It was probably the most underrated thing on the about The Last of Us. Like everyone always talks about the campaign, but I really enjoyed that what do you call it? That stupid game in that aspect, not the whole game.
On that note, I did enjoy the multiplayer online on Luigi's Mansion 2. Like I thought it's good, and I would say I would be tentatively looking forward to the multiplayer feature as much as the main game, because once you learn the mechanics of the main game and you play with someone who knows how to play Luigi's Mansion, it's pretty fun. It's kind of like any kind of game where you have like the level like think of like Super Paper Mario or something where you're going down into a dungeon like with like 100 floors, like you're climbing a tower like that, where it's like it's up to you guys to see how far you can climb, and you'll get a few floors and you do a boss fight, then you do a few floors, and it works pretty well. It worked great on 3DS. I enjoyed it. So I don't know. I mean, God, when am I going to find the time for this game? Is my first reaction to everything now. But yeah, I'd say the multiplayer is a feature I look forward to. I mean, because Luigi's Mansion 2 is really good, but it's a little bit of a slow-paced game. But I liked it, But I like the idea of having a different way to play it, sort of like Kid Icarus on 3DS as well. It was good to have both.
Kid Icarus had multiplayer. I mean, I did play Luigi's Mansion multiplayer. I played it. I played the local connection one though, so it was like I think it was like a time attack or like a score attack.
No, dude, you would have loved it. It was very, very well developed for a 3DS. It made it very hard to play because of that control style, the Kid Icarus that is. But it was like arena combat like style, and it all depended on how invested you were in Kid Icarus. But if you really grinded for like good items, good weapons, like really buffed your stats different ways, and you really had a good handle on the science of the game, which it had a surprising depth to it, like it was great. Like I would roll some fools on there because it was like I spent so much. I loved that game and I played it so much that like I had some really high level items, and you could tell like who did and who didn't, because you'd like get into the arena and you'd have like just weapons and armor and everything like levels above everybody else, and you could feel it because you're like dash. You'd have like special powers you could tell other people don't have, like your dash attacking and turning invisible and all kinds of stuff. It was very cool. It was very cool. I love that game. I think it was not underrated, but not appreciated as much as it even should have been. It was hard.
I liked it, but I got it like way at the end of the 3DS time. You know what I mean? Like when it was winding down. I think that came out like right before Smash, so I got it like 15, and it came out like 2013, my guess. So I don't think by the time I was ready to play online, everyone's like, we don't play that game no more.
Yeah, he put a lot of work into that multiplayer, but I think the control scheme alone made it really hard to sell it. The combat to other people, because that was the reaction I had from a lot of people. Like when I would play multiplayer, they'd be like, "You're so good at this, and it's hard to control this," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I get it. Like I've just played it a lot, so I've got the technique of how to balance this 3DS in my knees and use my stylus and one hand to control it, and it was crazy." But and, all right, we derailed. So Matt, back to the news point.
All right, so we'll go into the next bit. Unoclay is going to check out for this, but so we kind of figured this was probably going to happen, but it's been hinted that Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes are likely coming. This comes from the fact that there's merchandise for Sinnoh region Pokemon planned for later this year and into the next year, implying there's going to be like a reason to care about that gen specifically. And there's nothing else that would really lead to that. The anime is going to be based around all the regions, so it's not like there is a heavy focus on one where this would make sense. And same with the games, it's all about all of them. It's not Sinnoh specific, so there wouldn't be any other reason for them to put emphasis on this. And the exact same thing happened with Pokemon Let's Go, where like a year before it was either announced or released, they were putting out a bunch of Eevee merch, which really didn't make any sense because Eevee was just like another Pokemon. It wasn't, a brand like Pikachu or anything. But then obviously when those games were announced, that's how it was treated. So it's kind of like following the breadcrumbs. It's like, look at the merchandise, and it's the same thing with movies basically now, to some extent.
They're saying they're hinting at it because they're releasing merchandise like they did for for Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
I got you.
Well,
but yeah. I was gonna say
I really like the Sinnoh region, so I'd be down with a remake. I don't know how like true this like the indicator is. Like, I don't know if we're actually gonna get them. There was some skepticism on Twitter because the source it came from was like wrong about something else last year. So who knows in terms of the actual causality here, but I think a lot of people really like Sinnoh. And I don't know, it's a region that's grown on me. Diamond and Pearl, I played the heck out of, but I did not like it nearly as much as the first 3 gens. But it's grown on me more, and I would definitely want to replay it if it came to Switch.
I feel the exact same. It's like that was the gen where it's like, okay, they're kind of losing me on like designs now. It was like the first one where it's like it's starting to go down, and then I didn't really like Black and White, and then they came back. So, but I thought there were a lot of cool Pokemon in this one. Yeah, same, I'd be up for it. I wonder how many more remakes they're gonna be, because this was not the last 2D one. It was the second last one. The Black and White was 2D, and then X and Y was 3D. So I guess they'll do this and this, and then I wonder if they're gonna stop, or if they're just gonna restart all over again. Because it's like all of them would be 3D at that point.
Yeah, but still, there are always people that missed out, and definitely a lot of people, like people that were classic fans, missed out on, or probably stopped playing after Sinnoh. Yeah, I definitely know a lot of people that played the first 3 gens and then stopped playing, but now we're kind of getting back into it with the Switch. So it'll be interesting to see. Also, it's just interesting how games age for us. For you and me, Diamond and Pearl were not. I mean, they weren't as good as the first 3 gens when they came out. But then we got X and Y and Black and White and Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon, by the way, I think are the worst Pokemon games that have been worst gen. So it's kind of funny looking back, and it's like I've grown to appreciate Sinnoh that much more because of it.
Yeah, definitely. So keeping on the pace with Pokemon, Game Informer is doing like a whole blowout on Pokemon this month. They're gonna have like 101 questions video, which is, if you haven't seen them before, they're great. That's coming out sometime this month. But they released some information from their interview today, so I'm gonna list off a bunch of them and then go from there. Some of them are known, some of them aren't. So HMs aren't returning, which they weren't in the last couple of games, so no surprise there. There is an autosave feature, but you can actually turn it off. So in case, you don't want it to autosave that you killed a legendary, or you were looking for a specific Pokemon and you got locked out of it somehow, you can turn that off, thankfully.
Wait, let me stop at that one.
Yeah.
Because Uno might think that this is freaking crazy, but Clay, so when you go to encounter a random Pokemon, the chance that you have a shiny is 1 in like 5,200. Okay? And so there are people that before they go and catch a legendary want a shiny. So every time they encounter the legendary and it's not shiny, they'll turn off and reset up to 5,000 times to get what they want.
Yeah, on a good day.
Not like we don't on that.
So that's why the autosave is terrible, and we're going to get rid of it so that and turn it off so that everyone can reset to their heart's content.
I personally like that they're doing that to you guys. I like trust me, I'm playing Dark Souls now, and it's the kind of game where you constantly want to like reset like something that happens, and the game is constantly auto saving on you to like punch you in the face, like, and laugh at you. It's just built into the game. So tough luck, Pokemon fans.
I don't know. I never agree with autosaves unless there's that like major points. So like, let's say Pokemon had autosave, which obviously it does. It would always autosave like right before you enter a gym or something like that. You know what I mean? Like nothing like, oh well, you just did a Pokemon battle autosave. Like that's kind of bullshit. Like I used to play Pokemon, and that's kind of ass, dude. Like sometimes you just use the wrong move, or you're just half asleep, not paying attention. Like I play Pokemon falling asleep all the time, and I'm like, if that autosave Like, not only all the times I'm like, I wouldn't play Pokemon for 20 hours. I just fell asleep. Or freaking, I just messed up or I lost an item. I'm like, nah. I just don't agree with autosave in Pokemon.
Dude, I'm sorry, but that doesn't sound like something a pro gamer should be saying, bro. Be good,
dude.
bro.
Falling asleep is the #1 pro game Pokemon move, dude. Right? While playing Pokemon, right. You know how many times I've opened up my DS dead or my Game Boy was dead because I fell asleep while playing Pokemon.
Yeah, so some of the other points they lost it off was they didn't fully reveal. There's a new mechanic. They didn't fully reveal it, but they implied that if you have a Pokemon with like a specific nature, that you'll somehow be able to use it competitively. To me, this sounds like there's going to be a mechanic where you can change whatever your nature is, because they were talking about like, oh, if you want to use one of your older Pokemon and bring it over and it has a specific nature and you don't really like that, then we have a way where they're still competitively viable, because maybe you just want to use them for nostalgic reasons or whatever. So I don't know how they're going to do that, but they're going to do it, so that'll be interesting for those people. EXP share is automatically on, versus just being a feature that you could turn on and off. Actually, sorry, let me correct that. It's automatically on. It's unsure if you can turn it off, but the feature actually scales now. So before it would just be like everyone gets, I don't know, X amount of experience points across the board. Whereas now, someone showed me an image. Let's say the example is, shoot, let me pull it up. It's like a level 41 Pokemon, and all the other ones are like, I don't know, 10 or something. The higher Pokemon that's like 40 will get a small fraction of experience, whereas all the other ones will get like a surplus. So it's a way to make sure that all your Pokemon balance out versus like, oh, I have one that's, I don't know, level 100, and now this other one is only like 40 or something, where it's like clearly unbalanced. So I think that's pretty interesting. I wonder how it's going to work if it actually multiplies your experience, or if it's just like you get 100% and the other one gets, I don't know, 10% or something like that. I guess we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, so this one's confusing. They said there's 18 gyms, and they vary between major and minor leagues, but they didn't say that you can battle them all. So I don't really know how this is going to work. Maybe some of them are like implied just to be part of the lore or something, or maybe you can fight them all, but they're in there in some form. Who knows how they'll factor in? Maybe it'll be like a second region or something. Who knows? But
I don't know. I don't think so. It might be something where like, there are challenges in other games where, you'll go into a town and there won't be a gym, but there will be some sort of like other dungeon, like the Pokemon Tower, or like, some sort of other obstacles. So,
yeah,
it's something where theoretically like small towns would have minor league gyms, and then the big cities would have the full gyms.
Yeah, that could be it. It's a good way of incorporating them. That's pretty much it for news, which is why I started off first. I've been talking for a bit. Eli, what have you been playing this week?
Wait. Did we get Yokai Watch being 4 gigabytes on the Switch? All right, just announced. All right, you forgot about that one. I don't get how a 3DS game could be 4 gigabytes, but still, man, it's
because it's not on a 3DS.
That's true. They're probably like, you know what? I think we could add.
I would be more surprised that it's not bigger.
Really? I would think 4
gigabytes.
Doesn't the 3DS have like a maximum 2 gigabytes internal memory?
Well, the Yokai Watch 4 is on the Switch, right? That's the new one.
Is it? I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah, I think so.
Let me look it up. Because whatever the new Yokai Watch is, I know it's a Switch.
Because I know Yokai Watch, the remake, is on the Switch. So maybe they're trying to get people to go in and then jump right to 4 or something like that.
Yeah, 4 is the new one.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually it's like higher polygonal models and textures do it.
All right.
But anyway.
All right. Well, this is the first time we did a different format, right? So now we have to talk about us. How strange. How strange.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, Eli, why don't we pass off to you? What have you been playing this week?
So let's see. I beat Fire Emblem a few weeks ago. I think I talked about that. I started Astral Chain.
Nice, yeah.
Hey, same,
maybe
dude,
like
same.
yeah, I maybe like 5 of the missions in. There's like they're pretty long. They're much longer than I thought they would be. And I really like it. I know that Mike, I think you really liked it too. But the problem I have is honestly with the detective stuff. I just like think it's really it's like not exciting. It's kind of feels like busy work. Like I wish I could be fighting during those times. The action itself is really cool. I like the customization of skills. I like how I can switch my oh god, I forgot what the word for it is, but like my mechs or whatever. Yeah, the legions. And so overall, I think it's like a blast in terms of the gameplay. But I kind of wish there was less of the detective work stuff before you start the mission.
For me, I don't know about I don't know how I feel about it. I've only got to do 1.5 missions. Like I didn't mind the detective stuff, but like I don't know, it is super tedious, and I'm like, I have to get this, and I have to do that, and I'm like, did I miss something? And I'm going to run around the corner. So it's like fight detective, and I'm like, maybe if it mixed, like, if it wasn't 1-1 every like kind of turn. Like every time I discover something, then I get into a fight, and then it's like, oh, well, you gotta do this a little bit more. I wouldn't mind if it was like one section of this, and then the fight, or the other way around. You fight, and then you do like a post investigation instead of like on and off. Like I don't want to really say too much. I've only had like 2 hours of gameplay on it, but I'm not like I'm not upset at it, but at the same time, I'm not too keen on it. For the beginning so far, it seems like a good balance. I don't know how it's going to be treated later on, but other than that, I don't know. I did enjoy it, like, and I'm kind of interested, to learn about the characters and the story, which obviously is a good thing for a game. When I'm like, oh, I want to know more about the game. So
it gets crazy. Well, I'm glad you're liking it.
I'm actually surprised that I'm liking it. The only thing is I think gun is the dumbest thing in that game though. So terrible. Like I hate switching to the gun. Like up on the left Joy-Con to go to gun. I'm like, this gun does no damage and it's just dumb. All right, like why can't I just jump and attack?
That sounds suspiciously like Bayonetta, like the guns, like her little spazzy guns on her shoes that they're just like in order to keep your combos running or whatever. Yeah. You said I haven't played it yet, so.
It's like only good if you're trying to attack like a flying enemy that's over a pit or something, because then you can combo and shoot like a bigger laser. But because if you throw your Legion and then like go to it and attack it, then you're just gonna fall and like take damage. But yeah, it's not, the gun pretty much sucks. Don't use it.
I figured.
Can I ask a question to you guys that have played it already? Because when I'm just listening, I haven't played it yet. I haven't watched any videos. I do plan to play it sometime. But when you describe the so-called detective sections, it does call back to Bayonetta again for me, where it's not easy to remember because Bayonetta is like mostly remembered for sexy witch time, constantly sexy witch time, constantly sexy witch time combo, constantly, you get it. But like, there are like minor detective sections between action in Bayonetta where you'll kind of like have to like walk around the environment very briefly and like find a few things or trigger a cutscene or, you know what I mean? Like find some bonuses. You can literally just skip it usually, but if you like grind around the environment, you'll find like extra power-ups or money or whatever. And I always sensed they were trying to just break up the action by doing that. It's like quiet like sections where you're kind of looking for someone or something, or like wandering around a square or something. Is it like that, or it's more intensive? It sounds like a little more work. Anyone? Bueller.
I don't know. I don't play Bayonetta. I would know.
You played Bayonetta. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was a small part of it. It's there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more pronounced here, I think. I don't remember that well though.
It's not a lot. It's just like Bayonetta, you remember the action and like the leather and the jokes, but there were like they consciously tried to bring the level of action down between it. And
yeah, I mean, you definitely got breaks. You're right, but this feels like a little bit more like, I guess, an adventure game. Where it's not like, oh, here's a subtle transition between action sequences like Bayonetta is, which I really liked, because you do need a break. It's more like, here is a 20-minute sequence where you pretty much have to talk to different characters and figure out this like adventure game like puzzle. And I personally am not a fan of adventure games. Sorry. It's like, so for me, it just feels like, oh, I have to go talk to everyone in the area. It's like tedious, busy work just so that, to kill time.
Yeah.
So
I tend not to like stuff like that either. Like Batman, like Arkham City and stuff like that would have like some of those detective sections, and they were
exactly
between. Like they weren't too often to like make me annoyed, so I would do them, and it was like, all right, whatever, back to the main game, or whatever. But
I do kind of laugh that you're like Batman with detective sections.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, Batman. How dare Batman be a
How dare the detective be a detective?
Okay, nerds, get
it. No, he's not a superhero. He's a damn detective.
I know, dude. I know. I wish I could do this. I know. I'm a detective, all right. I'm a millionaire playboy.
You're like, I thought this was Batman, not Detective Gordon. Yeah. No, Flea's not here.
Period.
Yeah.
Just get on to what we've been playing.
Well done. All right, what's up, Matt? You didn't tell us what you've been playing, but you told us what he's been playing. So now it's Matt's turn to talk about what he's been playing.
Right,
exactly.
Yeah, I've been playing 2 games. I'll start off with Link's Awakening. So unrelated to like the game itself, I just wanted to mention because it's funny. I beat the game. So with the Switch, it tells you how much time you spent on the game, and I didn't. I can't let it go. I didn't know how it worked. I figured it was just like, oh, you play one game, and then once you switch to another cartridge, then it'll like update it. But no, apparently you have to wait like 10 days because that's just the way they built it for no reason. And I only found out because I beat the game like after a week, and I'm like, I want to see how long I played it for, because I think it was between 10 and 20 hours or so, and then it just didn't show up, and it still hasn't, and that makes me sad. Not really.
Wants to know
it was just
the minute
weird.
Count.
Exactly.
No, it is weird because you'll get a new game and you'll sense you're really into it, and that is constantly happening. I think it happens to everybody who owns a Switch. I'm just teasing you because I've noticed it years ago, like that. It's like I'll get a new game and I'm really curious, like, have I been playing this a lot? And yes, it's like that first 2 weeks, it will not show you like how many hours. It just says like how many days ago you started playing it, and it's like very strange, right? Like, and
because there was like theories? There's no indication on how it works or why it does it. I just like Googled it and found out. It's like, oh, it's 10 days. Oh, okay. I guess I know now. Yeah. I've been guessing like these last 2 years.
I have a theory of why it's like that. Do you guys have any theories like why they set it up like that?
I have no clue. I'm just gonna say wacky Nintendo.
Wacky Nintendo. That's a good answer. I think, and it's just a theory. Obviously, it's just a theory, but it's that so that when a new game launches, if it's a stinker, you can't see it because like you can't see that your friends are bailing on the game after like 1 hour. Like I swear, like I bet that they were like, let's just kind of hold back the data a little bit because like. We don't want a game to tank. Like the first day Daemon X Machina comes out and everyone's like, this game is boring. Like,
and you see everyone bored if it has 1 hour of playtime.
Yeah. It's like, so that like that first 2 week window of the game being out, like all you see is that like your friend played it a few days ago and you're like, oh, okay. Like,
you know what? I kind of buy that because like with NDP sales, they hide digital sales and no one says like what their digital sales are anymore. They're just like, it did well. It's like, how well? You don't know. We're just telling you and you have to believe us sort of thing. So maybe. But I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's get to the game part. So I haven't played Link's Awakening before, but I thought it was a really fun game. It's what I expected pretty much. Like, with
But you had
tangential.
played before, you hadn't.
No, I haven't. So
Huh.
just looking at it on the surface, I figured it was pretty much a link to the past, but on the Game Boy, which it pretty much is. I think this version is probably longer than the original, just because it feels like it's the same size. The world is the same size as A Link to the Past, and I think that's just because everything's probably spaced out more and scaled up and whatnot.
Well, how do you think? I think it's way smaller, dude. I mean, you gotta think about it, it's a Game Boy world, man. It ain't Link to the Past. Like, Link to the Past had 2 worlds.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so one of the worlds, not both, obviously.
All right.
But I think it's fun. It still has. Unfortunately, I knew like a lot of the references going in, but there's still a lot of quirky little characters and whatnot I didn't know of that I thought was cool. Yeah, it's pretty much a Link to the Past, but with some quirks in it. What was I gonna say? The frame rate is definitely an issue, though. Like playing it for the first couple hours, it's like, man, this is pretty noticeable. They should have just like left it at 30, because it'll be like it's 60 and you go to another area and it's like it's 30 now, and then it's like it's somewhere else. It keeps going back and forth. Like, this is easily noticeable. I don't know why they didn't just leave it at 30. I'm guessing so Nintendo themselves didn't make it. Grezzo did.
What else
so
have
I'm
they
guessing
done?
they
They did
had
the
problems?
ports, right?
Yeah, they did the 3D or 3DS remakes of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Okay.
I think they've only done like handheld games before, so maybe they've had trouble or whatever. But I don't know. That's not really an excuse. Like, just choose one and commit to it, because if you're gonna keep tanking it at 30 anyway, then just leave it there. It'll look worse if you're going in between. So keep that in mind. Eventually, either the game got better about it, or I just like stopped noticing it because I got so used to it. But prepare for that, because it's noticeable. But outside from that, like, it's not like the game chugged or anything. Just the frame rate got annoying. But the game itself is still pretty fun. Yeah, I think it does a couple cool, neat things. Mike, you played Link's Awakening as well, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Did you play the original?
I played I own the original. Yeah, I have.
So what did you
I
think?
thought it's your favorite games of all time, isn't it?
What?
I thought it's one of your favorite games of all time, right?
Yeah, no, it was actually it's the first Zelda I ever played, actually. So,
nice.
Like, I guess I have like a good vibe with it, because like I remember playing it a lot as a kid, because it was like, I never finished it because my battery would die, or like we'd get to where I was supposed to go, like, and I just turn it off, and then I'd get lost, because the way it worked on the Game Boy is you move tile by tile, rather than obviously the game was an open world and it loaded square by square. It's like you should either just know where to go, or it's all text clues. And then I'd come back 3 days later as a kid. I'm like, who the hell was I talking to? And you can't talk to the owl again, until I learned later on in my life that if you open up the map and go to the exact square where you met the owl, he'll tell you everything of what he just said. And I'm like, oh, well, easy come, easy go. So I have a good memory with it. I enjoyed the remake. It's what Matt said. The frame rate is definitely super duper noticeable. The game looks great though. It really does. Like, the water looks awesome. Like, the toy diorama Link is pretty cool. The music's great. It was pretty true to the Game Boy remake. I think maybe the Game Boy was a little bit cleaner. I didn't like how you had to counter every Dark Nut. Like, you have to counter them to hit them. I'm like, this is annoying. Like, usually you could just angle it correctly and get them. However, there was some give, some take. Whatever they gave, they also, they took away some stuff. And overall, it's a great game. I think it's better for people who've never experienced it before. I didn't pay full price, but it's definitely not worth $60 or even $50 in my opinion. But no, everyone should check it out. If you're a fan of Zelda games, if you're a fan of just Nintendo in itself, it's definitely a game to check out. I know they had a lot of fun making it. Like, I was watching a little, like, oh, they said they made it, they made it for fun. They were, they were just toying with ideas, and these were all things they wanted to do. And they all got dumped onto the game, and they're like, this is a big influence into making Ocarina of Time. And they had like a whole train promotion for it back in the day. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. There's a lot more history to Link's Awakening than I thought there was. But I think my favorite aspect of it was, for me, I guess this was the original Majora's Mask for me, because it was more about the world and the characters in it than it really was about the adventure. So that's my take on it. Everyone's like, Majora's Mask side quests and characters are a lot better. You really feel for them. But in this game, as you go on, you start to realize, like they give you hints. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not gonna say anything. But they give you hints about the world, and sometimes every AI they all have, or NPC, sorry, not AI. Every NPC they have a different lines after you beat certain dungeons and stuff. And it's just kind of cool because they're trying to put like this mind twist on you, and it comes out well. It comes out well.
And then I don't know if anyone else has played this, but I also played this Mario Kart Tour. So it's the Mario Kart
God.
mobile
I
game.
played it, of course.
Sorry.
All right,
Yeah.
No worries, bro.
So
Yeah.
I thought it. Sorry, go on.
I gotta duck out. The one thing
Alright.
I wanted to say. The one thing I want to say is that I think the funny thing, I actually ended up buying Link's Awakening because games are $50 at Walmart now instead of 60. So I picked it up, but I think it's so funny because the first time I played Link's Awakening was on the 3DS when they re-released it, and it was like I think $8, and now I just paid $50 as Mike can mention the price. I'm like I literally paid $40 more for the same game. Except with upgraded graphics. And I know that they put a lot of work in. I know that it costs like millions of dollars, to actually redevelop it in such a way. But I just thought that was a little bit ironic. And I'm just such a sucker for buying the same game again for that much more. Although it is a great game. It's one of my favorite Zelda games. I think it's my favorite. I think it's my favorite 2D Zelda game.
Wow.
So I like it more than Link to the Past. So I love it. So I'm excited to play it again. But yeah, and then the other thing on Mario Kart, I don't know if you guys saw, but IGN put out this article that was pretty much like the free-to-play games Nintendo's launching don't live up to Iwata's like promise of like what game should be.
Yeah.
I hadn't read it yet, but I just saw the headline and I pulled it up to read for later. But I think it's an interesting thought. I don't know if I agree, but it's definitely a departure from what Nintendo has been known as over the last, decade.
Mm-hmm.
Contrary to, or I wouldn't say the last decade, but I'd say from like 2005 to 2015, as it resisted trends of the rest of the gaming industry, and kind of ditching that since then. It's been
no, that is pretty interesting. I actually now I kind of want to read it, but however, man, money doesn't, money don't lie. Nintendo makes a lot of money off those. So.
Yeah,
right.
That's true. See you guys next
go.
week.
Yeah, see ya.
All right, that'd be good. All right, Matt. So tell us about the dreaded Mario Kart Tour. I just threw up a little bit.
Yeah, so it launched like I don't know, a couple of days ago or whatever, and I was like, well, I'm not doing anything, so sure, whatever. I guess I'll check it out. And it's just not fun, to be honest. Like it's not.
Oh, it's so.
It's
bad.
not. It's so weird. I don't even know how to explain it because it's not so bad that it's like, oh, it's like what was that game on Wii U, like Meme, whatever it was, Meme.
Oh, the Meme Run game.
Yeah, Meme Run. Like, it's not like, okay, this is clearly like horrible. It's not fun. It has no redeeming value or whatever. But it's like I'm playing this and it looks like Mario Kart and it sounds like Mario Kart, but I'm not really like having fun because it just feels like hollow. So,
dude,
I
feel like an idiot when I play the game. Okay, I'm like the drifting is terrible. You just put your thumb across the map. Okay,
so,
and I don't have Metal Mario, which is my main complaint.
Yeah.
Wait, what characters did you get?
I started off with like it's like Toadette, and then I got like Peach, and then eventually I got like Shy Guy and I think a Koopa Troopa and like one
so wait,
other
that was
character.
Your 5-star first. It was Peach. Okay, so for me,
like
I got
Toadette
to lead off.
Yeah, same.
And then my first box was Bowser, and then my special
nice.
box was Pauline. And I'm like, damn it all.
Wow.
Even though apparently Pauline is like very rare or something,
scored.
but it's just a crappy gotcha. And like,
yeah,
it's just it's so bad. Like, you know, like the levels seem cool. Low key, I want Mario Kart 9 to come out so I can be like, okay, so these are the iOS levels that I didn't give a shit about. But I feel stupid. Like, the game auto drives itself. Okay, you're basically trying to make sure you get a drift, and the drift doesn't feel that good. I know you can turn off the auto drive, and I'm like, I'm gonna have fun with gyro.
So to explain the two levels of drift, it's either broken or broken. So the game, like Mike says, auto drives itself, and then if you want to drift, you hold, I don't know, in one, like the left or the right, like in one direction, and after like, I don't know, a second and a half, it'll automatically drift. But it feels too late. Like, oh, I'm drifting, and then it's like, oh wait, no, that's too late, and I barely got a drift. But then there's manual drift, which makes no sense. It basically just means if you put your finger on the screen, it's going to start drifting. You can't turn. Sorry, let me say that again. Auto drifting, or whatever. The regular thing is you hold in it like left or right and you'll turn, and then if you hold further in a direction for a couple of seconds, then it'll drift. And manual drift is like if you put your finger anywhere on the screen in a direction, then it'll just drift outright, which makes no sense, which basically means you can't turn unless you just start hopping around, which doesn't work.
Yep.
So it's like, do I barely drift, or do I drift like for every turn? And then if you go over any jumps or anything, it automatically like does a trick for you, so you don't even have like that level of input to like influence if you're going to do better or anything. So it's like, okay, this game is just left or right, and that's it. There's like nothing to it. Like, obviously you push a button for items, but I mean, that's it. You don't drive yourself, you don't really drift all that well, and it's not good. And like all the gacha mechanics where it's like, oh, you gotta...
Don't tell that to Clay. I know he bought the monthly $5 a month.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You can pay $5 a month to get slightly better rewards, and I don't even remember the other thing.
I don't even remember, because after the $5,
so bad.
This is terrible. I was like, at least the gacha games that they usually put out are RPGs, right? And you just kind of get more characters, and they have a story. Like, I think this Mario Kart has something going on, like Pokemon Masters or Dragalia Lost, or Fire Emblem. Like, you don't play as much as you think. Dragalia, you play a lot because you got to move your character around, you dodge and stuff. Like, most of those games are like, oh, I'm gonna hit this attack, they do this, and Pikachu attacks here or Martha attacks there. It's like, okay, cool, I got my new character. And you pay a little bit more because you want better drop rates. This game, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Like, you get a 5-star character, a whoop-de-doo, and then the next time you play them, they're not allowed to hold 2 items this time because you don't have their special pass and it's not their map. And I'm like...
To explain that part, Uno, there's specific characters that, like, I guess, combo or whatever on specific tracks. So it's like, oh, on this track, because it's the, I don't know, Koopa Beach or whatever, Koopa Troopa will be able to have
2,
let's say up to 3 items at a time, or has better bonus on like points or whatever, this and that, but it changes for each one, and you're only going to have like a handful of characters, so it's like
so like you're either supposed to get
you'll be at a disadvantage, like at least in terms of items. I think the points only matter for you specifically. I don't think it like affects anyone else. But yeah, it's just not good.
The reason, look, here's the reason why it's terrible. Okay, it's because A, it's not Mario Kart, and B, you don't even play. Like, I can't play with Matt, Clay. Okay, you would think
there's no multiplayer mode now. It's coming later for a multiplayer game.
Boy.
Oh,
coming later, just like The Last of Us. That's what you do now, guys. You put out a game, and you're like, you know what? We'll put the multiplayer out later.
But it's also like skeezy, because the way they load tracks makes it look like as if you're joining a server, because it'll load up the characters, and all the characters will have like generated
custom
names.
Yeah.
Or
weird.
I guess it's basically like
Let's just say it's
AI
our patch.
versions
Like,
of
if
people's
we come
tags.
in, you'll see Troy, Mango Viking, and you'll see Unoclay. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm playing my boys. And in reality, they're just automatic generated bots that have Nintendo Network IDs that were randomly used. You know what I mean? Or just completely random names.
I wonder. I mean, I like again. I can play the devil's advocate apologist and wonder if it's set up like that because it's like a placeholder till they get the online running. Like
I mean,
that,
it's a placeholder, but it also
change it later. Like so, it's like
yeah,
just.
but why do that then? Like like if
I'm
we
saying,
didn't know about this,
it's like
it kind of seems more scummy. Like, oh, you caught us, guys.
But I mean, they're gonna. I understand what you're saying. I'm being an apologist. I'm speculating. But what I'm saying is like it's like a code, like a computer code placeholder where they want it to attach to other players, but they're not actually activating the service yet. Like I'm speculating it's not intended to like trick you per se because you're gonna know anyway. You're gonna like. I see what you're saying. I mean, I believe you guys that maybe it is like kind of like a kind of paper over, kind of hide the fact that like the online's not running yet and kind of trick you or whatever. Like for the average cash.
I mean, this game got delayed a lot, I mean, I didn't hear good things about the beta, the closed beta when it was happening. But it just, the problem is, it's just like a shell of a game. Like I wouldn't even consider it a game. At least like for those other gotchas, like I'm doing something. In this game, I just feel like I'm messing up, like all the time.
Well, it's because there's so little input on your part. Like you basically can only turn and drift. You can't. Like, obviously, I understand not doing gas because you don't want to hold your finger there all the time. But, like, not even being able to press a button to go over a jump to, like, influence, like, ooh, I may do this one thing that someone else doesn't, and then I will get, a bonus, as in, like, a boost
or
for that.
I'll get an advantage.
Yeah, but you can't. So it's like, how do you even get an advantage? You get lucky with item rolls, which you can't. You have no control over. So you would basically just have to choose a character that has more item boxes.
Yeah,
and
and
you can't fall off the edge on like a lot of the stages either. Like some of them you can, but it's also like, oh, this one stage you would normally fall off of, like the GameCube dinosaur one. It's like, no, there's an invisible barrier there. It's like, okay, so like what part of this am I like actually inputting? Because the less control you have, the less fun it is.
I mean, let me get this straight. So you guys are saying that a mobile phone game is not as good as a game on a console?
No, actually, I lied, guys. I'm ranking Mario Kart Tour above Super Circuit. That game's ass. No, you guys don't know how much I hate Super Circuit, but
that's one on GBA.
Yeah, that's the GBA.
It's pretty bad. That is a pretty bad Mario Kart. Like
it's so bad. It's like, dude, it's supposed to be an ode to Super Mario Kart, and it's 30 times worse. And I'm like, how do you? Like, you had 10 years to get this right.
That's the funniest thing because I only had that game because it was part of the ambassador program for 3DS when we all got the free games, like because we were early adopter crazy people. First, it turned it out to be awesome, and like we got rewarded for that, which is cool. Let's not forget that. But like. I always did find it weird that I didn't like it. I thought it was because I didn't like GBA games enough or something. I was like,
no, it's just so bad. Like that Super Circuit, dude, is so bad. But like, cause like, look, I mean, we'll do a little history lesson in Mario Kart. Like Super Mario Kart's tough. It was always a tough game, but it always had a good battle mode and some good levels, And I think Rainbow Road is one of the best there. But it just sucked because AIs had what's the word? I think it's called piggybacking. They had that piggybacking system, so they would never.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, so Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario Kart had that, and it was really annoying because in Super Mario Kart, AIs got special items that you can never use unless you hack the game.
Yeah.
So Bowser could shoot flames, and it would break into two. Mario and Luigi could go could get a star at any time. Peach threw something. Yoshi had an egg, and it was like, "What the hell? This sucks." But it was never like terrible. Super Circuit.
It was part of the game, It was like whatever. It was part.
Yeah. It was like I'm better than you. I'm gonna win anyway. The Super Circuit was just trash. It was like how to make the controls worse while giving us new Mario Karts at the time. And I'm like, dude, I'm already spoiled from 2 different Mario Karts. Or I think Super Circuit might have came out actually before Double Dash, but still, it was just very bad in every aspect.
Yeah, it's comic. I didn't like the art style is what it was for me, but like maybe that's weird because like I've heard that it has kind of a bad rap like in the community before, but hearing you say it, it's like cements for me because I'll go back to it every now and then when I'll flip on my 3DS and play it for a minute but it just never gelled.
Why wouldn't you just play 7? I still think 7's the best one.
Actually, believe it or not, I never bought 7. Like, cause
dude, you're slacking, man. I think 7.
I was kind of Mario Karted out because like I played so much of the Wii version.
Oh, that is look, low key. I'll always rank Wii number 1, but I think 7's a better game. But I think Wii.
And then I got 8, and like 8 has almost everything 7 has in it, so it was like fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, no, that's fair.
So,
that's fair.
You know?
Speaking of 7, it's funny that you bring that up. I think Mario Kart Tour is basically just Mario Kart 7 because most of the tracks are from Mario Kart 7. So if you want to play this, instead of spending, the $60 a year or whatever on this, or $100 or whatever it is, or $100, microtransactions, just buy a 2DS, which can come bundled with Mario Kart 7, and you'll have the same game. It won't be as like the resolution obviously isn't going to be as high, but it's basically the same tracks, and it doesn't suck.
Saving you money.
Wait.
Yeah.
The game has the same tracks as 7? I didn't really pay attention to the tracks. I gave up after 5 tracks.
Oh yeah, I played it for like an hour, so
that's pretty long, man.
I was bored.
I'll give you that.
At least from what I recall, I think most of these are from 7. Like some of them will say, and some of them are obviously remade, and I'm assuming they were from
So how
7,
many new tracks did they make, or you don't know, have that knowledge?
I think they only made the one so far, the New York. It says New York Minute. We're driving around New York.
I remember they said they were going to add more.
Look at that, Mike. Now you love the game.
I was like, New York Minute. I was like, yo, hey, I'm walking over
here. Yeah. They have like manhole covers like fly out, like water shooting out.
They're really leaning hard into the New York City, the New Donk City. Now they put it in this game. Like that's their new thing. They're leaning.
Yeah, I don't understand. Why didn't they just make it New Donk City? Why did they make it? Oh, well,
because they're
world tour. Never mind.
Yeah, they're doing like a tour thing, I guess, of the world or whatever. Because one of I forget if it's like a weekly event or whatever, but it's like this one's New York, and like next week or next whenever is like going to be Paris. So I'm guessing they're just basing it off of different cities of the world.
Places where Nintendo sells well is exactly what that is. Because it's probably. Like France loves Nintendo. Like, I mean, they're not going to do Tokyo first because it's too obvious. So they're just like, they're going to hit the hot spots.
Like, New York's mad obvious. We have Nintendo New York World here. Okay, but yeah. Other than shitting on Mario Kart Tours, anything else you played, Matt?
No, that was it.
Aww.
Yeah, so buy Mario Kart 7 instead. Well, most people will probably already have 8 anyway, so just play more of that.
True.
8 is an amazing game, yes, exactly. Like
it has these tracks as well, so...
It's got all the saxophone riffs you can ever handle.
Yeah.
It's like
8 is easy mode. You know why 7's the best game? It's because 7 has the blue shell that was OP, and that's why they made the air horn, because the coding for the blue shell was so insanely high in 7.
Wasn't it like once every either once every track or like once every cup or something?
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you how many times I see a blue shell, but the best part is the blue shell was really smart. Like, you could actually be in first, break off to second because you hear the blue shell thrown, and the other person, it'll still go for the person. It will go for the new person in first, rather than the old games where you knew you fell out of first and still go for you. So you could always influence.
Yeah. That's actually a better meta. Like, that really is. Like,
yeah, I would hit the brakes all the time because I would hear it, or I'd look at people's item things. I'm like, oh shit, a blue shell. Then I'd start driving slower. So
that's a better meta by far. Like, that is like, I wish that would be like kind of de facto the science of Mario Kart, because like I like the idea of forcing the front runners to all slow down and like compete for like who's not in front or whatever.
Yeah, and who's gonna get hit? Like, I know, I get you. Instead of keeping it like Mario Kart is made to be the opposite meta that me and you were talking about. Like, we're gonna punish who's in front and reward who's in back. However,
it's Mario Party. It's like Mario Party turned into a race. I mean, it's like
but 7 had the idea of like, if people were conniving enough in the front places and would look at the items that other people had, they could base their win off that.
Are you saying they took the air horn out of 8? Because I don't remember that.
No, air horn was invented in 8 because 7 had so much blue shell problem. Like
that makes it better for me because the air horn is like better game. Because then it's like you can counter. At least there is a counter if you get lucky. Like,
Well, you could, but I'm just saying. But the thing is, you never get an air horn in first place anyway. Like,
you have to carry it. You got to carry it.
Yeah, you have to like hold on to it forever.
But the thing is, though, with 7,
you're just gonna get hit by lightning and then lose it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but 7 you could do the old school carry the item and have the item with you. Remember they took that away for 8, and then 8 Deluxe brought back the 2 items. That's why I didn't like original 8 also. But
I never got Deluxe. I'm always tempted to, but it's like I played like 100 hours of it on Wii U. It's like
I just wait for the new one at this rate. Like, you know what I mean? You got nothing.
I hope they do a new one.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, Mario Kart Tour. No, the worst part is Mario Kart Tour is gonna get 100 million. They're gonna be like Mario Kart Tour 2.
It's already it's already done. I think it's like sold the most amount of downloads of any of their mobile games like within the first day or week or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's also like probably one of their biggest like IPs they own.
I mean,
like Mario Kart Wii sold like what? I don't even remember how many tens of millions. I'm gonna Google it up because I think I'm wrong.
Mario Kart is their biggest IP in some ways. Like it's bigger than anything. Like it's bigger than anything. This is like no matter how shitty the game is, it's gonna sell. I mean, it's like it is a house name.
37 million units on Mario Kart Wii.
My nephew, who is 6, it is his first video game of his life, and he plays Mario Kart 64 like all day long every time his parents let him. It's like it is a household word across the world. Like so, yeah, it's gonna be successful no matter how shitty it is. Like so, it's weird that you guys are saying it's that bad because like it's got to be really bad for you guys to hate it that much. Because I know Mike was looking forward to it somewhat, you know. And Mike, and for the new listeners, Mike historically hates mobile games like with a passion.
None of us really like them, to be honest.
This is their one chance to prove me wrong, and what do you know? Comes out like garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably won't play it. I mean, I'll probably never play it. I'm just like interested to hear you guys' reactions. Like, yuck! It does not sound good.
You want to know how bad it is, Cliff? It's on the 5th page of my iPhone homepage.
I don't even have that many pages.
All right, the chances of me scrolling back there are pretty low.
And with that, you just dissed that game.
Nice.
Again, not download it because it's Nintendo, but holy shit, I could never play it again. Easy clap.
Yeah. You want to see something else broken? Let me see if I can send the picture. I found a video. I couldn't find the video of it, but so there's certain points of the game where if you get like a slot machine, if you match 3 items, then you'll get like, I don't know, a bunch of those items or like some other special ability based on your character. And apparently that can happen with blue shells. So someone like matched 3 blue shells and they just have like a bunch of blue shells that they can throw for like 10 seconds. It's just like, wow, that's not broken at all. I don't even, that's not even useful.
Throw another one. Oh man. Well, you know the thing is, I do like that frenzy thing. I'm like, you know, like I said, I just hope for the next Mario Kart maybe they'll add the frenzy thing.
I mean, they kind of already did it with 7, where it's like the lucky 7 item.
Yeah, the 7 item.
Describe what the frenzy thing is for the listeners. I don't know what it is.
Okay, no, what we're just talking about. You match the 3 items and you get a multiplier.
Yeah, you get multiples of the same item.
But Clay, since you didn't play 7 also had a special item called the 7, and you get every item but a blue shell, I think, in it.
Well, 8 had the same thing. 8 had the 8.
Oh, it did? Okay, I didn't know if 8 did. Okay.
Yeah.
So never mind then. Never mind.
Okay.
All right. Well, Clay, do you want to go next or me? Because I have 8,000 games. I think, so.
Mike, you historically always go next, so why don't you go next, man? But like,
all right.
What are the top?
So I did a little DS re-adventure lately. I told you guys I was playing Professor Layton, but then I also played Elite Beat Agents. Not that good, so I stopped after.
I love that game.
Yeah, I didn't like that game that much. I'm like, these are all regular, real human music. I was like, this is trash.
But I can get that. Do you like?
Yeah, I was still gonna play some unique tunes, and so by then I got Rhythm Heaven. Man, that game is epic fun.
That game rules.
That game is awesome. I was like, wow, this is sick. I can't wait for another one of these. And I was like, oh wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got into Rhythm Heaven, and the reason I got into it is because I was listening to a custom Rhythm Heaven remix of Bramble Blast on the internet, and I was like, what the hell is this game? You know what I mean? So I went to check it out, got to play it. I did about 8 missions. I had to charge my DS, so I kind of forgot about it. Let's see.
So you've never played Rhythm Heaven before?
No, never heard of it.
Oh wait,
man, it's great.
It's worth 100%ing, but there are some missions in there that will make you pull out your hair. Like it is like
yeah, I'm pulling my hair over the 2 tiki stones that do up,
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
I hate those guys, man. Because like I'm I know I'm on beat, and the stupid seagulls are shitting on me. I'm like, screw you guys.
It's really, I don't know if you've ever if you've ever played instruments, but I spent like 12 years of my life playing instruments, and like I'm telling you, it really challenges even like if you have a really good rhythmic sense.
Dude,
like,
I always thought I was good at rhythm. Dude, I'm telling you, I used to play the piano for a few years.
Right on.
It's like 5 years, and I'm like, I know cadence and music, but man,
it makes
Yeah,
you like do syncopation rhythms that you've never done like on your instrument in your life unless you're like a pro. Like the one I'm thinking of, I can't think of the name of it. Matt has a really good memory. What's the one, Matt, where there's like it eventually zooms out and there's like a million guys on screen and you're doing
Lockstep.
Is it called Lockstep? That one?
So what it is Mike, is you'll tap to the beat and it's pretty consistent, but at one point it'll like switch it to the offbeat. So it'll be like doot 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 doot. So it's like the in between part that like will catch you off. And there's what you can do is sometimes it'll be like, oh, go for a perfect challenge run on like this specific one. So if you mess up like one note, you're screwed. So
dude, I hate the perfect challenge ones because I always mess up at the very end, and I'm like, why? I know this is the last one, and I mess up every time on it. But I'm really liking that game. I'm glad I got into it. I downloaded Star Fox Command for the DS.
It's good
because I wanted to play Assault on the GameCube, and then I downloaded the wrong one. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I found that was a multiple ending Star Fox game. I guess. I mean, I like Star Fox, to be honest. Like, I like Star Fox Zero. I like 64. Adventures doesn't exist, and I played a bit of an Assault, but so I'm looking forward to give that a shot. So that ends my DS adventures. One day I'll pick up Professor Layton again. I don't understand. I like this game. I like the idea of the game, but every time I play the damn game, I just get sidetracked or I stop playing. Oh, you know why? Because I'm such a freaking perfectionist. If I get a question wrong, I turn off my game. Then I realize I'm 10 riddles behind. Do the same 10 riddles, okay? And then I'm like, all right, back to this one.
Game. I mean, Professor Layton is a slow game by nature. It's like you sit there and just stare at it a lot of times and think. Like that's why you're getting distracted.
I'm in the game. I click everything. Everywhere I go, I'll go back. Oh, new chapter. I have to go back to everywhere I went. I'm like, this is literally the game not made for me. The way I play this game. Okay. Like, it is literally the opposite of what I do. I think it'd be an 80-hour campaign for me.
Oh my gosh.
If I played it normally, like the way I want to, and I'm like,
it'll be like
telling myself,
someone will be like, oh, I see you played it for like 10 hours. You're like, I've been playing it for 3 years.
Yeah, essentially, dude. I mean, yes, I've had to restart my save a few times from corruption, but like, I'm always at chapter 3, and I'm like, oh, this is a different chapter. People are in different areas. Click everywhere. Click everywhere. Oh, secret puzzle. And then somebody tells me that you could get all the puzzles you missed anyway from like Granny Witch puzzle, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't care. Looks for it anyway. Like I'm just like I think I'm just gonna Wikipedia the whole story because the story's getting interesting. But
so weird. You should finish it and be surprised. It's so weird. That is stories. Like, oh my god.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's just I don't have the time to. The way I play it is so like you. Obviously, I sound insane the way
it's a slow game. No, it's not meant to be played fast. It's a slow sit there and think about the puzzle game. Like, I mean, it really is. Like, it's like doing the SATs or something. You're just like you're not.
I mean, I enjoy that. I just don't enjoy that. I know where the story I'm supposed to go, and I won't go there because I know that's the right way, and that is not like it's just so annoying. Whatever. Luke, my boy, let's go on. All right. So I was playing Astral Chain. I played that Lynx Awakening. That's old news, guys. I mean, those games came out like a week ago. So I played Hot Lava. If anybody's played, it just came out for Apple Arcade, which is where Escape the Gungeon is now, and a lot of things.
I don't even know what Apple Arcade is. I'm just gonna wait for it to come to Switch.
So did you pay for it, or I forget?
No.
Isn't there like a free
have Hot
version
Lava
of it?
on PC.
Oh, okay. I was like, what do you bring up Apple Arcade for? We just dumped like 20 minutes of stupid mobile
I have
games.
Hot Lava on PC, but it's the same game essentially. I think it's pretty fun. It's just basically a first-person platformer, and I was enjoying it. I just started that. I was playing Donkey Kong Country 2: The Lost Levels. So I was playing that young Donkey Kong Country 2 DLC. You know, it's a ROM hack, guys.
Okay.
It's considered
what
the
the heck?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
never
I
heard
was
of
like,
that.
they finally released that Super Nintendo DLC. I was like,
Yeah.
finally, guys. You know, I downloaded it off my SNES and boom. So no, Lost Levels is a ROM hack. It's considered the best Donkey Kong ROM hack like ever. It's super clean. It's a harder version of DKC2 with all new levels. And I I'm loving it. Actually, my first episode's coming out tomorrow of it, and I don't know. It feels great. Like it's not made perfectly. Like there's some clipping areas, and they won't let you cheese a few things. But yeah, I love the Donkey Kong Country series. I've always said DKC2 is probably usually in my top 5, top 10 greatest games of all time.
You love that game. Holy crap.
To play new levels of it and to do new things in it, it's kind of like, oh shit, like thank you whoever spent their time in making this. And it's funny, I remember always hearing about it. I never really kind of did it, and I was like, F it, I'm gonna get this ROM hack, I'm gonna get to play. And I'm glad I did. I'm having a great time with it. It's a good thing to do while I'm not playing Mario Maker every damn day. Let's see. I turned on Astral Chain. There's another game. Oh, I played Yoshi's Crafted World for a bit. So that game was okay. I was playing in co-op. I don't know. It seems the game lied to me. Like it seems like it was made for co-op. And then I play co-op and I'm like, it's too easy and you could cheat everything. I'd rather play it single player. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess it's exactly like Woolly World. So you play it. It's got the same aspect, that 3D aspect. But I don't know. Crafted World just I don't know. Maybe I just don't like Yoshi games that aren't Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. I don't think
there is only one good Yoshi's game. That's the problem. It's the fact that it's so good. It makes it it's like Paper Mario. You just keep wishing the series would be what it was once. You're just like, oh, like I mean, Yoshi's Epic Yarn was the closest thing they've ever gotten to doing another really good Yoshi game, in my opinion. Like the Yarn game was pretty good. It was, but I don't know. Like, I mean, like the problem, it's a series that like, it's so impossible to imagine them ever touching the heights of like Yoshi's Island OG.
Yeah, Yoshi's Island is so good that to this day I'm still like, it's not as good as that one. Got to keep comparing it.
There's
like Mario games, like
it is one of the greatest games of all time. Is the problem, and then like nothing else touches it. It's just like and for those that don't remember, you can now play that on your freaking Nintendo Switch if you have an online subscription. So people like Matt who haven't ever played it.
I've played it.
Yeah,
I don't remember if I beat it, but
Matt probably played the crappy DS remake of it.
No, actually, I think
I need Baby Wario and Baby Donkey Kong.
No. I think I first played it at like my orthodontist because he had like a SNES hooked up there. Like, this guy's cool.
Dude, I had an orthodontist that had all my GBAs too, and I'd go there, and he'd be like, I would always play the first Super Mario Advance, so that's Super Mario Brothers 2 because they remade that one first.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if I'm gonna continue Yoshi. Like I enjoyed it, but whatever. All right, let's see. Oh, I started Fire Emblem, the Three Houses. I was kind of interested in the story. I was like, let me give this a shot. I didn't, because you guys were like, don't get the Daemon X Machina. So I've been playing my Astral Chain, and when I go to bed, I play Fire Emblem, and I keep falling asleep. It's not that it's a bad game. It's just, I don't know. Again, there's so much to do. And I mean, I'm glad Nintendo doesn't have trophies and achievements because I would spend every damn minute going for them. But like, I'm still on chapter 3 because I'm like, gotta do these things. Oh, I answered. I talked to this girl wrong and she didn't like my answer. Turn off game. Turn it back on.
I'm coming. I was like, wait, you bought a Fire Emblem game? And I'm like, wait a second. Now it makes more sense. It's basically like Persona.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of.
I'm only in it for the waifus.
Yeah.
To get the right girl. I don't really care about the game. That's stupid. But yeah, the combat. The one thing I don't like about Fire Emblem, it's a fake tactics RPG. I just don't enjoy it in the sense where there's no challenge. Like the game tells me what's going on. I'm like, anyone who says this game is, like, look, I'm not playing it on Maniac mode or whatever it is, normal mode. Like, because I was like, I want to go through a normal, there's permadeath. That's always been Fire Emblem's thing. You lose your character, you lose them 5 ever. I'm like, I don't want to lose the girl I'm courting the whole time forever. But, like, that's the problem. This game is either insane or is it super duper casual? You know, there's no in between, and I don't think that's a good formula for a series. Like, I want to play normally, but I don't because I don't want permadeath. But at the same time, like, I don't want to be like, well, I'm just existing in this world and just pressing buttons just to press it. Like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything, and I think that's a sign of a bad series. That's why I hate it. I mean, a lot of people love it, so I everyone's obviously wrong, but it's like they don't understand. Like, that is not good game creation. That's like literally like, okay, well, if you can't beat this Mario level, you could just take the conveyor belt on the top and it'll drop you to the end. Like, whoop the effing do? Like, you didn't do it.
Yeah,
but
Fire Emblem's weird because I played the Game Boy Advance one because it came free with the 3DS for buying it early, and I don't even remember why I continued or why I stopped, but it's the only game where I played for like 10 hours and felt nothing. And I'm like, I'm just going to stop playing this now. That was it.
That's the weirdest thing. I like that one. I just got to a point where I couldn't finish a level because it felt like my troops, I got too many people killed. Like, I just felt like the round would start and like I could not beat the opponents in the castle I was in. It was pretty far in too. Like, I got what people liked about it, but I think now it's like so complex and so much more of a big boy game like that. It's like not even the same as the GBA one we played. Where
I'm
it's
sure
more like
it's better than that. Now,
the GBA one's more of like the original one. I mean, I played a bit of the original, and the thing is, the game eased itself now. That's why everyone liked like Awakening, because it's like, oh, we have this move, and like basically, to me, the one thing I don't know if I can't remember really much about the GBA game other than playing it for a bit. But I always thought like, Advanced Wars is kind of better. But in this one, like, I move my character over. I know when it's going to attack and when it's going to counterattack too. And I'm like, this is dumb. I already know what's going to happen. The game tells me, like, I don't appreciate that. It's a tactical RPG. There is no tactics if I know what I'm going to do 15 damage to this guy. What tactics is there? Okay, like I walk over, guy has 26 health. I click his thing and splashing. I'm going to do 11. Okay, I magically could get a crit. Whoop the effing do, because that's RNG. But for you to tell me like what's exactly gonna happen, it's not tactics. That is literally me playing God Hand, and that is not fun in an RPG. That's why I always say this guy is better. Like, this guy, team attacks exist. You could go past level 1,000 level. You could go to level 9,999, etc. Yeah. Let's see. I feel like there's something else. I'm just waiting for Luigi Mansion 3. I know I missed that talk. And then I know Super Monkey Ball is coming out, and I'm contemplating that. And I think Brain Age for the Switch is coming out in Japan in November, December. And they're getting a stylus, and that shit better come here because I need some Brain
You
Age.
can already buy the Super Mario Maker stylus if you want. Or just an iPad stylus.
Stylus. I want that Brain Age one.
It's just a stylus, buy it.
Right?
$5 on Amazon.
That's true. I could probably just do that. But still.
I don't even think the Brain Age one has like anything specific to it. It's just like a black stylus, isn't it?
Yeah. But it'll be bundled in my game while I get smarter.
You're like, man, if I can spend like $60 to get a stylus versus just spending $5 on Amazon, have it now.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna get Brain Age anyway, right, Clay? I'm top, man.
I probably will. I mean, it'll depend on the price. I really like the one on DS. It made me smarter. So like, hey, I'll pay for it.
I mean, I like doing occasional Sudoku or a few math equations and all that. Like, I enjoy it. Brain Age has always been a series I was like, I think it was like that wacky DS kind of series, like Rhythm Heaven and all those weird games where it's just like, this works because it just works. I'm carrying my DS. I was carrying my DS around. I could touch the screen and. When was the last time you guys touched your Switch screen? Okay, I turn it off. I turn off my Switch
now. Literally just now. I'm working on a Labo while we're talking.
Oh, okay, that doesn't count. You were playing with cardboard, man. I mean, that don't count. We're talking about legitimate things.
The problem is like some of the games don't even have touch inputs. It's like Smash would be good if you could touch it, but they didn't bother. And like some other games, it's like I hate when like they don't do simple things like that. It's like you have this thing with a touch screen and it would make a navigation so much easier. There's no excuse now when we have like all these touch enabled devices. Like, do it right.
Yeah, Nintendo, you make online games. Just give it.
They made like the first touch. The very least the first touch touch-based console, but like the DS came out before the iPhone. It's like, and they still don't know how to integrate like this properly. Like, just do it.
No, yeah, I agree, dude.
I guess it's more the developer side. So Sakurai, you jerk.
Sakurai-san.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think that's it about for me. Like I said, I'm just waiting for that Luigi Mansion life. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Nice. So, Unoclay, why don't we round it off with what you've been playing?
Well, besides putting together Labo while we're talking,
That's not.
Which one are you putting together?
I am.
Is it the piano or something else?
The third from the VR set. So
Nice.
working my way.
He's gonna play that Odyssey in VR when he gets it. Nice.
I may or may not. Actually, I had said it on a few shows ago. But the main reason, one of the big things I was excited was to do Zelda in VR, and it makes me so nauseous. Like it's really rough. Like I've done I've done some like really basic Oculus stuff at like a spot in Manhattan where you could go and pay your money and come inside and work for an hour and do all the games and stuff at a VR center. And I never got like any kind of nausea from that, really, anything significant. But playing Zelda in VR, as soon as like I started playing it for real and like running around and like jumping off cliffs, and it works pretty well. It's a little blurry.
Really? But to me, it always seemed more like those cell phone VRs, where it's just kind of like, well, you're kind of closer to everything. But
no, it works pretty good. I mean, like you're looking, it's real enough that as soon as you jump off a cliff the first time, you're loving it. You're like, this is awesome. Like, I mean, you're just playing Zelda. It doesn't change the viewpoint. The camera's still behind Link, or whatever. But it does put you in it enough to create a cool illusion. It is a little blurry, but you get over it pretty fast. Like if you're not too worried about it, like but it made me really nauseous, and it makes me not want to do it, to be honest. Like it was the kind of nausea where it didn't go away. It was like it stayed with us for an hour or two, and that's rare for me. I don't have that happen to me a lot. So
no, I feel you. Trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Doing the little VR games, it doesn't happen because it's like all the little VR games you do with like the not Zelda, like all the ones that came with Labo, they're all like your standard one room, throw a ball or throw something or drop. It's like way more limited, and it doesn't have the same effect. It's not like Zelda where you're running around in a full 3D environment and really spinning your head and making yourself feel really gross after a while. Like, I don't know. It's so much more of a limited experience that actually doesn't make me feel yucky. So I don't mind doing it for a few minutes. So whatevs. But, and besides, I just have these 2 boxes of cardboard. I gotta get them out of the living room. They're like sitting there for months. So like, no, other than that, I'll keep it short because we've been running for an hour and a half now. I did beat Castlevania 1, which is something I had been trying to do since I was a fucking little kid.
Nice, congrats, man.
Yeah,
nice.
It's hard. The end is hard. When I was young, it was one of the first 2 games I think we had for our NES when I was a kid. And technically, it's my brother's. Like he got it for Christmas, but technically I have it. So finders keepers. So, but I could always. I was really good at it because that's what it is when it's back in the 80s and you're like you only have 2 games, so you play them all the time. Like, and like I would play it and I got so good at it, I could get always to like Drax level. I could get all the way through the game to Drax level, but I could never beat him. And spoiler alert for Castlevania, a game that came out like 1987. Like,
oh man, come on.
I know.
I haven't even watched the Netflix now.
I'm giving him time to hang up here. Like that Drac has 2 forms, surprise, surprise. And like I could always beat Drac form 1 and never beat Drac form 2. And the other night I was playing it and I think there was a glitch. And he kind of got stuck in the wall, and I just wailed on that motherfucker. Like years later, I was like, I don't even care. I'm not hitting reset. You're going down this time, fool. And just like beat him. And I posted one of my rare posts on Twitter, and a friend of the show, Seth Scott, developer of Membrane, posted that he had just recently beat it also. So I feel like, Drax time has come. That's it. If you've ever been holding out for your whole life to beat Castlevania 1, this is the go for it, guy. You can do it. You can do it. But
yeah.
So I did that. The other news I'd give, if anyone's still listening to this podcast at this point, the retro corner coming at the very end here. I'm super psyched. I have a console that's not obscure, but it would be more obscure to you guys who are a little younger than me. But like, it's the Atari Lynx. It was the competitor to Game Boy. It's
I knew of it, or not
Yeah.
knew. I mean, I know of it, but I don't really know like the games
Yeah, I
or
know.
anything
You
like
said
that.
Lynx,
Actually, I'm
what
gonna
the
look it
heck
up.
is it?
I know what it
It's-
looks like. I think I know.
Right.
I think all my retro knowledge comes from Angry Video Game Nerd. Honestly,
Right.
I can't
I don't-
imagine anywhere else I would have gotten it from.
I don't know if he's ever done an episode on Lynx. I don't think he has.
Maybe he like, I don't know. I've definitely like seen it before
So-
somewhere.
so the-
So regardless, anyway, sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. Like the problem with like putting Lynx on the internet is in fact that it's a handheld system, and it also has a flaw that gets to my point almost. It has a flaw that the screen is. It was the first full color handheld console ever, and it's a full 16-bit machine. So it's surprisingly good for some of the games that are like Super Nintendo level on a handheld. That 8 batteries, like I eat pizza. Like it takes 6 AA's and it consumes them so fast. So thank God for rechargeables. And
I always thought the Game Gear was the first one. Huh.
no, Lynx I think beat it. I think Game Gear followed it. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. But like, yeah, what was it saying? So like, I have a plug for it. I mean, you can get an AC adapter. So like, ironically, for a handheld system, it's the kind of thing you most of the time play plugged in or whatever. But just because of the battery problem. But so the games are really good. But here's the problem. These systems were not built to last 30 years, and the screens are getting all washed out. Like the color is fading, and mine was definitely pretty bad. Like that, you didn't want to play it much because it didn't look so good. It just like all the colors are fading. But modders have now developed a screen they can install and like make it even better actually than the original. It looks so good, and it's kind of expensive. I paid a good bit on my birthday. It was my birthday present to myself, and paid a good few bucks for it. And had a modder put a new screen on it. It looks amazing. It's like vivid, awesome graphics on this system from like the 80s. And then on top of it, he put in a port that you can plug it into like a computer monitor too. So you can like take a handheld system and like play it on a computer monitor if you want to. If you want to like wire yourself to a computer, like instead of being handheld like you're supposed to, it's funny. So that's part of the reason that a lot of like streamers haven't done anything with it, because to even get a Lynx in a system where you could stream it, you're already spending several $100s, and then you have to like have a streaming setup, and you have to have a way to jump from VGA into a stream. So it's not even HD; it's like a VGA signal. So I'm working on that. If I ever get a computer that I want to use for streaming, like maybe someday I'll stream some Lynx or whatever. But yeah. So yeah. So that was it. It's kind of cool. Lynx is a kind of a curiosity. It had a pretty decent library. It was kind of like what Atari always did. Lots of arcade ports, lots of classic Atari games like on it, like things like Joust, think like Robotron, Joust, like classic arcade stuff. Like just kind of like what Atari did, and kind of put themselves in the grave with that. Because like Atari, too little, too late, realized that like you need new properties instead of laying on your old catalog. Like, and just re-releasing your old catalog again and again on every console that ever comes out. And that's a big part in my mind of like what happened to Atari. Like they could not compete with Nintendo when Nintendo came along and changed the game. And we're like, oh, well, we'll make our own games. We'll make our most amazing games. Yeah, I have Atari.
It's like, hey guys, check this out. And they're like, that's the same game.
Yeah, we played that before. Now we can play it in our handheld, but I'm bored of it. Yeah. I have a Lynx 2. Matt is asking me which Lynx I have.
Is
a Lynx.
that on the left or the right?
Hand side is the one that like looks a little more futuristic.
Is it the rounded one? Put it that way.
The one with the one on the left in your
Okay.
picture. So the Lynx 2.
Huh. I thought that would have been like the first model, because it looks worse, to be honest. Like it's
Really?
bulkier. Like the D-pad looks like it's so big that it wouldn't be able to be pressed as well.
You know what?
The buttons are square versus the other one that are like rounded.
Dude, this looks like one of those third-party things.
Yeah, no, it's you know what's funny? Another factoid, like fun fact about the Lynx, is that if you notice how the buttons are laid out, it is the first system ever that was designed for southpaws, like the lefties, because you can flip it over and play it the other way. See how the buttons are set up?
Oh,
So you can literally flip the system. And
That's
well,
cool.
How do you set it up? Like, how does the game know that you have
the
it
screen,
upside down?
there's a button to reverse like the screen like layout, so like just flips it over. And so that was like really amazing forward thinking back in that era when nobody thought of stuff like that. And it was like,
I was wondering why there's 2 buttons at the bottom where you would never touch it.
Yeah. Well, some games
cool.
took advantage of it because remember, this is parallel to Super Nintendo, so this is the era of when everyone's realizing more buttons might be better.
Yeah.
So it's like, as you can see on Lynx 2, there are even more buttons for like controls and options and stuff like that, and then you can pair the buttons. That's why there's all those kind of wiry lines on the console showing you what buttons to pair together. So if you need even more buttons, you can press 2 buttons together to cause stuff to happen on the control console. But anyway, it's a cool system. But the problem really revisiting it is emulator is probably your best bet if you don't want to spend a lot of money. Because like I said, like just getting a Lynx these days that works decently well is going to set you back between 50 and 100, I would imagine. And then games, of course, but then getting the screen replaced is pretty much like $250, like, or whatever, like, to get if you can't do it yourself. I mean, like, I can't solder reliably. So that's the problem, because it's a fairly technical install on some level if you're and you can just shit your system if you're not good at it. So I don't think it's the world's hardest mod, actually, if you're smart, but even buying the screen, the piece that you would need, I think is like around 100. Like, because I think the modder told me, well, if you want to buy it yourself, here's the price, and if you just want me to buy you a screen, I'll put it in for you. And but anyway, yeah, Atari Lynx. It's sort of a side story in the big picture, but it wasn't in its day. Like when Game Boy was out, Game Boy was already in the market, and Lynx dropped, and it did pretty well for its first year or two. It was not a joke. It was not like, oh, nobody bought it. I had one when I was a kid. My cousin broke mine, so the one I actually have now is a replacement or whatever. But like, I remember loving it back then, and it's worth checking out an emulator if you're curious, because there are good games. Anyone wants to hit me up on Twitter, I can tell you like a list of the good games. You can just use Google, because Google tells you things like that too. Because there are games that are surprisingly interesting on it, that are more original games and stuff. But that's what I've been playing this week. So, and I'm going to be playing a little bit more because I spent enough money on it. So damn it, I'm going to play it. I'm going to play these old. So some really terrible games on it too. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on Atari Lynx, terrible. Let me tell you, awful. Like, it's embarrassingly bad. But hey, Bill and Ted's, gotta play it.
Cool. Well, that's cool. I didn't know you had one.
Yeah, it's a fun system, but I really like the VGA out thing. But I got to get it set up so I can like play it at a TV, because my newer TV does not have a VGA port on it. So I gotta like, I got to do a bunch of jumps. Yeah, there's like, you got to buy like
the VGA and then a connector, and then that connector is connected to another connector and a box, and
they're surprisingly expensive for good ones. Like for a good VGA to HDMI converter, they have to be plugged in, first of all, so that's annoying, and second of all, it's like a good one is like $50. So I was sitting here hemming and hawing over that yesterday, and I'm like, another $50. I'm just gonna play it for now on the computer screen and get through it. First problems here, people. First world problems. So it's good stuff.
So I think we'll wrap it up around there. You can find me at the Mango Viking on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And Mike, where can people find you?
All right, guys, find me at SME Gaming 64 or Game Men on YouTube, or just Joyful Bookster on the Twitter. I forgot what the hell that was. But yeah, we got all the Donkey Kong Lost Level World coming up this week. So if you guys want to check out that dope ROM hack, and check it out. I mean, that DLC. Sorry, gotta keep it modern. That DKC2 DLC, boys.
Yeah. 30 years too late. But
yeah. I was like, what? The game came out 95, right? I was like, finally, they're gonna release some levels for it. All right.
Yeah. Nice. All right, Unoclay, where can people find you?
You can try tweeting at me at Unoclay_switch. Maybe I'll notice it eventually, and I'll talk back to you. It'll be great. Check out my Unoclay game. Like, check me out. I haven't put up any new content on there, but it's a way to get a hold of me. Actually, someone jumped on there that met me at a party a few weeks ago. Was like, hey, we gotta play that Dark Souls and that Smash Brothers together. Like, just drop the comment in a video. And I was like, alrighty, I don't want to play Dark Souls with you because it'll give me spoilers, but I will play some Smash Brothers. Weird. So yeah, I know, weird, right? The real life intersecting with the internet.
All right. So wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on pretty much every platform on the internet. Hit us up with your questions, or if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle on Twitter, or me directly at the Mango Viking. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. How about you?